bro, Vince would never in a million years watch Total Divas. But Prichard would be the guy to go tell Vince, did you know they said this? And did you know they said that? So when she's saying they worked it against us, it sounds to me like that's what she's talking about.
Let's go. Oh, you didn't, bro. We got Nikki Bella. She thought Total Divas doesn't get enough praise.
Yeah, we were talking a little about this, me and EC3. So let's hear what you have, Chris, because we were talking a little bit about this on our show.
Indeed. So this is what she said. She said, honestly, Total Divas should have been praised even more, I felt, because what we were doing was we were literally almost at the point of beating the Kardashians in ratings. We were shaking the world up. What a great time. We could have had the industry behind us. Instead, they used it to turn it against us. That was really shocking to me. I was like, we're making great change for women's wrestling. Why are you hating on it? Vince, what do you think?
Well, you know, again, I'm just reading into her words. To say that you used it to turn it against us, I would guess, bro, that the higher ups probably did not like and felt like they were exposing the business too much. That's what it sounds like to me.
Gotcha.
Bro, I know, and this isn't a knock against the man. This is really just how he is. Like, bro, like I know Prichard, man. I know he is so old school, bro. And every time there was something like this, like, bro, Vince would never in a million years watch Total Divas. But Prichard would be the guy to go tell Vince, did you know they said this? And did you know they said that? So when she's saying they worked it against us, it sounds to me like that's what she's talking about, that they may have pulled back the curtain just a little bit too much. They don't like that, bro. Vince doesn't like that. Prichard doesn't like that. Heyman's old school. What's his face? Michael Hayes. They're still from that old school, bro. They don't like that shit, man. Crap.
WWE had no production over Total Divas, right? It was completely E.
No, bro.
No, it was joint.
They were executive producers of that show.
I get, as an executive producer, though, do you have like the ability to create as much as a showrunner and a producer do? Like, executive producer is more of a monetary name token, if I'm mistaken. I mean, maybe if you have something that's a ginormous success to, you know, a totally different market that's going to attract more people to watching your product, I think instead of destroying it because maybe you don't have the control you want, you work within the means that you have to kind of structure that thing so it's not so much breaking kayfabe, and then reap the value. Because if they're tailing the Kardashians in numbers and they have that prime spot and so many intricate women's athletes are getting, you know, popularity from it, like, you run with it, because rarely does a thing involving wrestling have that crossover to bring in a new audience.
I remember watching that show a couple of times, bro, and basically saying, I remember, and I didn't watch it a lot, but I watched enough of it and saying, these writers should be writing Raw. I mean, there was drama and there was conflict and the personalities were coming out, and I'm like, they should be freaking writing Raw.
You know, I do remember when it was at its heyday too, you know, meeting people and civilians on the street. Oh, you're a wrestler? Oh my God, do you know Nikki Bella? Like, yeah, I went on a date with her and her sister once. Yeah, do you know Natty? I'm like, yeah, I know her very well. I was at her house last week. They had a nice little soiree. I'm like, do you know Naomi? I'm like, yeah, she's sweet as hell. So like, they had a lot of, you know, popularity with people that wouldn't necessarily watch wrestling. So heaven forbid we attract millions of people.
Right.
Also dynamic that we should be.
So speaking of Naomi, so you were there as the beautiful connection ensued between Naomi and Jimmy Uso. Now, Did you see? Because she was single during the NXT days when she was, going competing in NXT, wasn't she?
That would be NXT season 3,
Mm.
prior to NXT season 4, the like half internet one.
Yeah.
I think their courtship began around there.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I do remember them holding hands and things and being, a sweet little couple,
How they come together?
Cupid's arrow, I think, love connection, eye contact, genuine conversation.
Let's get speaking of love content, connection.
I don't know exactly what brought them together.
Let's get back to this date.
With Nikki?
Yeah, we kind of glossed right over that.
I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah, but we never got into details.
Okay, let's do it.
How did the date come about?
Daniel Bryan and I and the Bellas, they were doing their thing on Raw, having their little angle where they're trying to break.
Was he dating Brie at the time?
They were not dating.
Okay, so he wasn't dating. Okay, all right, go ahead. So go ahead.
It was definitely storyline based, so we thought it'd be a good idea if he's on this horrible show they don't watch called NXT season 4. Like, what if we went on a double date? And that was the first time NXT had a long form, multi-segmented kind of vignette skit sort of deal. And yeah, it was very, very much a writer on hand and us throwing our ideas and then action and us improvising our lines to each other, where I knew I had a couple of zingers on me, like a bag of change. I had Michael Hayes' fanny pack. I knew I was going to hit Brie with the goat cheese line. I knew I was going to freak out if something got spilled on my American flag pants. That was the only thing I think we had called, was they're going to knock a glass over, it's going to get on your pants, and then you're going to ruin the date. I'm like, well, how should I ruin it? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I do. So, spill a little fake champagne on my American flag pants, which I would have wore, Chicks in America, freak out, not my pants, flip the table, storm off. Oh man, it was a great time to do that. That was
so, bro. You guys were with NXT and they were on the main roster.
Yeah, I was the only one on NXT, and the Bellas came for that one shot.
Wow, that's pretty cool that they did that with you guys, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's really cool that they did that.
And it's one of those things that you let charismatic and somewhat talented people go be entertaining on an entertainment show.
Yep.
You're going to have something that is entertaining and people will like it. So, and it was so not because if that was on Raw, there would have been 20 writers and rewrites and Vince coming down from the heavens with some awful verbiage change and completely changing it at the last minute. But since they didn't really care what happened on NXT, we had pretty free reign.
Yeah.
What was the reputation, the backstage, just feel toward the Bellas coming in as models coming into the industry, and they've got a lot of flack over the years, but not getting their reps in, and going through the indie, land and things like
Chris,
that.
do you know the history, or do either one of you guys know the history of how they came in? I don't know the story of how they came in. Do you guys know?
Cupid's arrow, I think, and then just fate happened. And
I think they were modeling. They both were modeling, and then it was some show that I remember watching the Bellas story on. I think it was one of the documentaries, the wrestling documentaries, and Nikki, one of them, shared that they were I think it was one of the I think Nikki wanted to do a soccer career, if I'm not mistaken. I think Nikki got injured, and then she was out for a while, and somehow the circuit came around them, and they saw them, and then because that's when they just kind of threw them out there, and because Nikki was still recovering from injury or something like that when they first threw them out there. So yeah, so they just came in as models / already athletes, and they used the twin magic thing as a gimmick for them in the very beginning. So
yeah, I think when I was there, they came up before I was even there, and I think that reputation they may have had, jump in line and getting in quick, and you're only here because you're hot twins and models and things like that. But by the time I was working with them, they've earned their reps, they were earning their stripes, and then they started dating top guys and became really good at wrestling too. So I didn't hear any backstage huddle, but I believe prior to me there was probably that like, oh man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of flack of them wanting to get into the Hall of Fame as earlier than a lot of other legendary figures. Vince, what do you think about them? Not necessarily them in the Hall of Fame, although you can chime into that too. But as far as them getting in before, some very
bro, that's all. We've talked about this before, bro. That's all. You're either on Vince's good side or you're either on Vince's bad side. And at the end of the day, it's such absolute BS, But that's why I listen. Everybody that's in there, I say good for them, bro.
Mm-hmm.
If it helps you on your resume, if you really feel like you achieved and accomplished something, good for you. I just think it's I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's no real criteria for being in a professional wrestling Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
let alone the WWE Hall of Fame. And I still don't. What I don't like is like active talent can be in the Hall of Fame. Because I love baseball, you got to wait 5 years after you?
Yeah, I think 7, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know if like, there's any unbiased journalists that maybe are putting in their ballots for who the Hall of Famers are, but it's pretty much, well, this would be good for this year, and they did well. So it's definitely kudos, but it's also there's no science or formula to it.
Yeah. Scott Steiner talked about before, like it's just a bunch of hogwash until they get an actual brick and mortar. So I mean, I understand. I feel some type of being a sports guy. To me, it's still like, okay, why are Hall of Famers like wrestling still? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and bro, you know what doesn't make sense either, bro. Let's be honest, man. If it was brick and mortar, bro, I think that would be a moneymaker.
I agree.
No doubt about. That's a good. I don't. New York. I mean, I don't
New
know.
York. Yeah, I think I definitely.
Bro, there's no doubt in my mind that wouldn't be. I don't know why, bro. Just pay somebody else to do it. I don't know why they haven't done it, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, why haven't they done it? I mean,
remember the WWE Cafe? Was that the name of it, bro?
WWF in New York. Yep.
I mean, you're gonna do that, but you can't, like.
Yeah,
but didn't they get busted for having rats and embezzlement and like all sorts of like?
It was bad. I heard they lost. I think Vince lost like either close to $500,000 or $250,000 on that.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it was
opening a restaurant in Times Square.
Yeah.
Niche entertainment, like, I mean, no
they
matter
had like people. They had items on the menu named after wrestlers and stuff.
I did go for a high school class trip. We were in New York, and I had to go. And I went, and the food sucked.
Did it really?
It was